Ladies and gentlemen, this is your indigenous Gullah-Geechee, and they are in the fight of their life over their land. I want y'all to notice all of the melanated faces that you have seen this year alone of people trying to fight to save their homeland. Again, they have been doing this now forever to keep any of us from passing your wealth, your land, your homes down to the next generation. How do you do it? You keep swiping up land, acting like nothing can be developed anywhere except for where our people live. That's the only place things can be built. You know, millions and millions and millions of acres of land have been stolen this very same way. It's not a coincidence that you keep seeing our faces in these fights. So let's get into this story. The thievery is overwhelming. County approves larger homes for a Gullah-Geechee enclave. Now, who's getting these larger homes? The wealthy that are going in there and trying to drive these people out. As residents vow to continue to fight, Black residents fear the vote will accelerate the decline of one of the South's few surviving Gullah-Geechee communities, trying to squeeze these people out of their homeland. Descendants of enslaved people living on a Georgia island vow to keep fighting Tuesday after county commissioners voted to double the maximum size of the homes allowed in their tiny enclave. So they're making these wealthy people's homes bigger so that they can just take over the land, which residents fear will accelerate the decline of one of the South's few surviving Gullah-Geechee communities. Black residents of Hog Hummock community of Sapelo Island and their supporters packed a meeting in McIntosh County, elected commissioners to oppose zoning changes that residents say favor wealthy buyers and will lead to tax increases that could pressure them to sell their land. And that's the whole point right there. That's what they're going to do. Regardless, commissioners voted 3-2 to weaken zoning restrictions the county adopted nearly 3 decades ago, with the stated intent to help Hog Hummock 30 to 50 residents hold on to their land. Mm-mm-mm. So there's a woman there by the name of Yolanda Grosvenor, 54 years old, of Atlanta. She has long planned to retire on the island. Her father and an island native owned Hog Hummock. She left the county courthouse Tuesday night just wondering if she will ever see it happen. It's going to be very, very difficult, Grosvenor said. She added, I think this is their way of pushing residents off the island. No, that is the way they're doing it. This is the way they are doing it. And y'all, like I said, take notice to how they only want to develop land around where our people live. They don't want to develop land anywhere else. And you know what? To add insult to injury, there's all these open spaces of land all over the country. But nope, they don't want to build there. They got to build around where our people live. So let's get into this. Let's move on. So, Hog Hummock is one of the few surviving communities the people known as the Gullah or Geechee in Georgia, whose ancestors worked island slave plantations. Fights with local government are nothing new to residents and landowners. Dozens successfully appealed staggering property tax hikes, and this happened in 2012. They tried to raise the taxes and get all outrageous on these people. So, residents spent years fighting the county in federal court for basic service, such as firefighting equipment and trash collection, before county commission settled last year. We're still fighting all the time, said Maurice Bailey, a hog hummock native whose mother, Cornelia Bailey, was celebrated. She was a celebrated storyteller on the island, most prominent voices before her death in 2017. They're not going to stop. The people moving in don't respect us as people. They love our food, they love our culture, but they don't love us. Yeah, well, that's pretty much the story of America right there when it comes down to our people. It's like that all over. So hog hummock population has been shrinking in recent decades. Some families have sold their land to outsiders who built vacation homes. New construction has caused tension over how large those homes could be. Commissioners on Tuesday raised the maximum size of a home in hog hammock to 3,000 square feet. The previous limit was 1,400 square feet. Mm-mm-mm. Commissioner Davis Poole, who supported loosening the size restriction, said it could allow a modest home, enabling a whole family to stay under one roof. The commissioner are not out to destroy the Gullah-Geechee culture or erase the history. We're not out to make more money for the county. He's full of crap. If they are building homes and the wealthy people are moving in and they don't respect them and treating the people that have been there for centuries wrong, that's exactly what you're doing. That's why you're coming in there with those badass attitudes, because you are trying to squeeze them out. The commissioner is full of crap. Commission chairman David Stevens, who said, he said he was visiting the islands since the 1980s, blame hog hummock changing landscape on native owners who sold their land. I don't need anybody to lecture me on the culture of Sapalo Island. This is what Stevens said. If you don't want these outsiders, if you don't want these new homes being built, don't sell your land. So, county officials have argued that the size restriction based on heating and they're talking about the heating and the AC space prove impossible to enforce. County Attorney Adam Pompel said more than a dozen homes on Hog Hummock appeared to violate the limits. So it looks like these homeowners are building the houses the size they want, regardless of the limit restrictions they're absolutely not listening to. Mm-mm-mm. And I'm looking at the commissioner, and yeah, well, enough said about that. All I can say is these residents are in the fight of their life. Eventually, they're going to try to get them all off the island and have these wealthy people taking the homes, probably bulldozing down the homes that are there and build these big fancy houses on the property because it's very obvious they want to take over everything, and this is what they do. So, being that there's homes there, that means there are developers already on the land doing these things and probably been there for a couple of decades trying to take this place out. So, ladies and gentlemen, they said this place is historic and it earned its place in the National Register of Historic Places back in 1996, the official list of the United States treasured historic sites. But for protections to preserve the community, residents depend on the local government in McIntosh, where it's 65% of 11,100 residents there are white. Well, that should explain everything right there. Well, I hope they keep fighting and I hope they keep holding on to their land, but we know how this story goes. We have seen it played out over and over and over. And they keep saying the same thing. Oh, we're not trying to do this. Oh, we offered you money. No. Nah. Why don't you build somewhere else? But we know why you won't build anywhere else. We already know. Y'all, please tell me what you think about this story. My heart goes out to the Gullah-Geechee tribes that live on that island and have been there for centuries. I sure hope you don't give up your fight and get discouraged. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.